Hi there and welcome to this week's vlog. Don't know if you noticed or were aware of this, but fairly recently the World Athletics Championship took place in Tokyo. For various reasons I wasn't able to catch much of it, but I love watching athletics and I was able to catch up or watch a few events live on the telly during the period of the championships. Unfortunately, the Great Britain team didn't do very well. We didn't win a single gold medal. We won, I think, some silver and bronze. But compared with previous occasions, we didn't really do very well. One of the anticipated highlights of the events was the men's 1500 metres. And in the final, we had two outstanding athletes, Josh Kerr and Jake Whiteman. Both of them had won that race in previous championships. So it was even thought that Great Britain, both Scottish but running for Great Britain, we might get a 1-2. One of them finished first, one second. That was the hope, the expectation coming into the championships. And they progressed through the rounds, semi-final, and they're in the final. And so it was an eagerly anticipated race, one of the highlights of of the games. Unfortunately for Josh Kerr, who was the reigning champion, during the race he developed an injury and so started limping. And the race continued and he was getting further and further behind, but he kept going. One of the commentators said, what's the point of his keeping going? He's not going to win now. But nevertheless, he did keep hobbling along, limping along, way behind the rest of the field. In the end, Jake Whiteman managed a brilliant silver medal, just finishing just behind the eventual winner. Josh Kerr, meanwhile, did finish the race, though he was a long way behind because of his unfortunate injury. Now, why did he continue when he knew he had no way that he's going to win the race or get a medal? Why did he continue? Well, to put it bluntly, when the race results are printed out, it will show that he came in 14th place. I think there were 14 runners in the field. Otherwise, if he'd stopped, it would be DNF, did not finish, which would be a blot on his record. He wanted to keep going right to the line, even though he wasn't going to win the gold medal that he'd hoped for and longed for and trained for over many months and years. That reminds me a little bit of another very famous event in British athletics, and that was the men's 400 metres race in the 1992 Olympics. One of the competitors in the final was a man called Derek Redmond, and Derek was a great runner. It was hoped and expected that he might finish in the top 3 positions and get a medal, maybe even the ultimate medal, the gold medal, because he was in great form. And so the final took place, and they set off, and he was doing really well down the back straight, and suddenly, I'm not quite sure what it was, a hamstring injury or something, and he pulled up in agony. But again, he kept going. He kept limping along, and people were wondering, why is he keep going when everybody else is finished? And as he rounded the final bend, an older man jumped out of the crowd and ran towards Derek Redmond. The officials tried to stop him, but he said, I must go. And it turned out that this was Derek's dad. And so his dad took Derek's arm on his, and together they leapt down the finishing line and probably got a greater roar than the winner. And eventually they crossed the line together. And that was a wonderful picture. It's still available on YouTube. If you want to watch it, it's really heartwarming. And again, Derek Redmond, though he knew he was no longer going to get a medal for finishing, he wanted to cross that line. And when his dad came along and helped him, that was it's just a heartwarming picture and an illustration of support and care and love. And he crossed the finishing line. When I get on my treadmill, sometimes, or when I'm out running in the fresh air, sometimes I feel, or when I'm doing a park run on Saturday morning, sometimes my mind is saying, give up, stop now, you don't have to go any further. It's getting too hard. But I try and, I don't think there's been an occasion recently where I've given up. I've just kept going. Even though I'm not going to win the race, I'm not going to be the world's best runner even at my age. But I want to keep going. I don't want to give in. It's always too easy. It's always easy, isn't it, to give in? Sometimes in life, the going's tough. We want to give in. Sometimes in our Christian journey, we find it hard. God seems far away. The difficulties, the pressures mount. We find it a struggle. Maybe a friend lets us down, or something happens, and we thought, wow, is this really worth it anymore? We're called to press on. Let me finish with some words of St. Paul that he wrote to his young protege, Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. He said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And that my prayer for myself and for you is that in our Christian journey, we will finish the race. We'll keep pressing on, even if the going's tough. We'll not give in, knowing that God promises, I am with you always. That's the promise of Jesus. So he's there with us, like Derek Redmond's dad, helping us. Even if we're limping because of injuries, we keep pressing on to finish the race. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.